Hit me.
From Studio P in Sausalito, the home of the hit, it's time for...
Succotash.
Yes, Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast featuring snippets from comedy...
Soundcasts.
And also interviews with comedians, comedian soundcasters, and other showbiz folk. And now, here's your host, internationally recognized Comedy Soundcast Soundcaster, Marc Hershon.
Marc Hershon.
Yes, it's true. I am Marc Hershon, your every other weekly host for Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast. You've latched on to episode 264. Now, if you were looking for episode 263, that was last week's installment with our alternating host, Tyson Saner. Entitled Flippin' Hot Comedy Clips, it featured snippets from Comedy Soundcast's Pretending with Dice, I Said No Gifts, and Doughboys. You can still grab it from Apple or Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart Radio, Audible, SoundCloud, or our own home site at succotashshow.com. I am dispensing with clips for this week's show to, instead, chat up an old friend and former roommate of mine, a longtime San Francisco stand-up comedian, a former TV reporter, and now a painter, too, Marc Pitta. Marc moved from the Bay Area to Las Vegas last year, a month before the pandemic lockdown, and we catch up on all sorts of things, including what he's watching, what's pissing him off, how comedy has changed in recent years, and some showbiz anecdotes. Marc and I chatted a long time ago, back on episode 5. Episode 5. That's right, 10 plus years ago. And so it was great to catch up with him. I mean, we certainly talk all the time, but that's the first time he's been back on the show, I think. So we chatted for a long time this time around. You're getting a double stuffed episode of Succotash this time around. Plus, we have a new feature at the end of the show since no one seems too excited about calling us at the Succotash hotline these days. We're expanding the use of that number, 818-921-7212, and it is now the Succotash and Runaway Truck Ramp Hotline. We'll see if anyone has any status updates on the runaway truck ramps on the highways and byways around America. This episode is brought to you by Henderson's Pants' new sleepover slacks, a great pair of pants to be wearing if your significant other, roommates, or parents toss you out on your ass. Let's listen as our announcer Bill Haywatt tells us more, and then we'll jump right into my convo with Marc Pitta.
Hey friends, Bill Haywatt here. You know, with the summer months just around the corner, that means nights spent with buddies out under the stars, or sometimes just passed out next to your car. Whatever the occasion, it's always the right night for a pair of Henderson sleepover slacks. Whether you're crashing at a friend's place or getting your carnal fix with a one-night stand, Henderson sleepover slacks are just the ticket to making sure that you get as good a night's sleep as you can, while still waking up refreshed and raring to go. No matter if you're heading back to work or making that walk of shame back home by the harsh but cleansing light of day. Sleepover slacks feature an outer layer that unzips to form a snug sleeping bag with a built-in eye shade so you can catch some extra winks. And there's a removable, disposable inner liner that wicks away moisture and filth and whatever from your skin so you can unpeel it, throw it away, and face the world without needing a shower the next day. The nylon zipper doubles as a removable tooth and hairbrush, and the sleepover slacks double stitching can be plucked out a bit at a time to be used as dental floss so that you're looking as perky as can be for that big important meeting or facing the spouse. What's more, Henderson sleepover slacks are unisex, designed for both men and women who care to leave the very best impression when it comes to living indiscriminate lifestyles. Originally designed for train conductors, flight attendants, and United States congressmen, Henderson sleepover slacks are available wherever fine bedding and or camping supplies are sold. That's Henderson's, letting you get into our pants since 1849. And now back to the groovy sounds of Succotash.
Our guest is Marc Pitta. That's all I need to say. Our guest is Marc.
We don't know why.
Well, because you and I were texting the other day, and I didn't have a guest,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to clip any shows for this next episode. So,
Oh, that's more work. Yeah.
and I had just heard you on Dana's podcast, and I go, wow, if I can score a get like Marc Pitta, because he was on Dana Carvey's podcast.
Do you have a theme show? Is this a theme show of all unemployed comedians? Is this what you're doing?
Boy, you'd have a very short segment because there'd be a lot of people to get on.
Actually, it should be called comedians who rather get unemployment than work. Hey, I put all that money in. I might as well get some back. And once the year of no performing happened, I got so used to it.
Yeah.
I started to do another creative outlet, which is painting. I buy canvases, some paint brushes, smoke a joint, put on some music, and see what happens. And I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
Well, you could be making money if you were still in San Francisco, because you just go down to Pier 39 and just offer to paint people's caricatures.
Oh, you don't think I will have a gallery showing? Oh, interesting.
Oh, no, I think you will.
Oh, I will. It's not caricatures, Mark. In fact, I can't do faces, which actually made me try to paint in a totally different way. And I created a new way of painting for myself. I kind of compare this to Andy Warhol.
Mm-hmm.
Used to take photographs, trace them, and then paint them. Now, what I'm doing the same thing, but I don't have a tracing machine like Andy Warhol, which is funny because I was reading his diary and Keith Haring came over. Can I borrow your tracing machine? And Andy writes, now he knows I have one.
Well,
it's kind of like cheating.
It's very similar to the way I do my editorial cartoons every week for the Half Moon Bay Review newspaper.
That's a new thing.
Yeah, I take Photoshop and I like find pictures and put them together in positions I need. If I had models, I would use models, but I don't. So I find, got people that are in the right positions. And then I use that very sort of faded in the background to then draw over it and draw the characters in.
Yeah, there's no rules when you do art.
No.
That's what's great about it. Most of mine have come from mistakes. Like, I made a mistake. I have to completely do a new take on this, and it comes out even better. So here, I'll show you my new one.
Okay, this will be great.
I know this is not good. This is not good for a podcast.
This will be great for the listeners, but what I'll have you do is take a picture of it.
Oh, okay.
And then
I can't. Can you see it?
I can get a good look at. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that's Once Upon a Time in the West.
I love
opening scene, and I went with clouds, and then since this is a podcast, there were cumulus clouds. They were puffy.
Oh, okay.
And then I said, no, I need to be more surreal and more colorful. This podcast. They've already turned this podcast off talking about.
We actually call this a soundcast, though, Mark. If you'll just kind of indulge us, that's kind of our name for it. I'm actually looking back in history right now online, and do you realize that you were my guest and co-host of episode 5 of Succotash 10 years ago?
Was that in the San Francisco Bay Area at Sketchfest?
That was just in the Bay Area. It was in Joe Polino's studio in Sausalito.
Oh, that's right. I do remember. Oh, yes, because he had a really cool bathroom with 45s.
That's right. Stuck on the floor.
He had 45 records stuck on the floor and like embossed. That was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's art.
So yeah, you were episode 5 guest co-host, Marc Pitta.
Good memories. Let's go to the news, Mark. Jamie Lee Curtis and Christopher Guest have announced that their son is now their daughter. They have a transgender child, and they said it was great to see the transition from our son to Ruby, our daughter.
Wow, really?
And that must be a difficult decision to either go with your true identity or take a pay cut. And I think that it was nice that he wanted to be a woman.
Interesting. That must be fresh. I've not even seen that yet.
That was on Yahoo News. I don't know if they're reputable.
I think they're reputable enough.
It was an article in RP magazine that Jamie Lee Curtis did.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's where they took it from.
Marc Pitta, a former Bay Area comedian. Well, you're still a Bay Area comedian. I mean,
I will always be one.
Yeah,
you don't know where you live,
but you don't live in the Bay Area. But you were. This is where you cut your teeth, as they used to.
I was
say.
asked to leave. Mark, get to it. I was asked to leave the Bay Area
after many.
And
years.
the people who asked me were the same people who want property tax from you. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. But you moved there, what? Oh, like about a little over a year ago, almost a year and a half ago.
I moved to Las Vegas in February of 2020, and in March was the pandemic.
And they said, don't come back. They said, you got there,
Yes.
now we're locking everything down. It's like you left the house and they changed the locks.
Yeah, it's sad because I did, like I said, I did get used to not working, and I enjoy myself on stage, but I hate prepping. And I was asked to do a show the other day. I said, I'm going to wait till September when my unemployment runs out, because I don't want to gear up for a show and then not have another show for another 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's probably it's what everybody's going through. I hear this a lot from fellow comedians, that they were nervous they wouldn't be funny anymore. I mean, it's the fear that creeps up on you, because when you don't work, it's like going to the gym and being off for 6 months. You go, oh my God, I can't even lift that weight anymore. But then in 3 weeks, you'll be able to lift it. So that's what comedy is.
Yeah. What is the apprehension?
Working the muscle.
What is the apprehension of getting back into it after the pandemic?
I don't know if my answer is going to be the same as others, but I am sick of hearing my act. And to gear up and hear it again, I'm like, oh, I wish I could just write another 45. And all I have is 3 new jokes. I don't know why I'm trying to be Albert Brooks right now. I have 3 new jokes. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of material. The other joke is the player for the, I call them the Oakland Raiders of Las Vegas. And I think that's how they should be billed.
Nice.
They had a defensive end come out as gay, the first NFL player, active player, to come out as gay. And make no mistake, though, he still throws like a girl. Now, that joke would be canceled today, but I'm going to throw it right back in their face and go, he's a defensive end. They can't throw.
They can't throw.
Where's
Exactly.
your mind going, you cancel culture freaks? Can't on the edge of your seat trying to cancel me.
Does the cancel culture thing piss you off in general?
It pisses me off, but also I see the point. I mean, I don't like it when a comedian tells a long joke and the punchline is bitch.
Right.
I mean, you could put that on any joke.
Yes.
I mean, you're not clever enough to write an ending, bitch. I mean, you see it, or fuck. It's all the words we use, the safety nets. Like, oh, this joke doesn't work. I haven't tested this joke. I'm a little apprehensive. I better put the word fuck in.
Yeah.
That's how it works. And try to do jokes with the word fuck. Try to do them without the word fuck and see what your batting average is.
What about just the idea that things have become super politically correct, let alone the cancel culture thing? But just, do you feel like you can kind of get away with what you used to be able to do jokes about even 10 years ago?
Well, I'm lucky that I always wrote an act that was evergreen, that I didn't have to rely on, I hope they read the paper today.
Right.
So, and then Jay Leno gave me a note way back in the 80s. Yeah, if you work clean, you get on TV faster. That's what you do. Just work clean, just get on TV. And I just got into a habit of working clean. And then when I did live news for 5 years at the Fox affiliate KTVU, I learned not to swear on camera. So my act became don't swear, be clean.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to deal with the political correctness, but now it's very fuzzy. It's like, you don't know what's not going to get a laugh because of the words you choose. Let's go through them. Retard,
yes.
cunt. These are words that comedians use. I don't
Yes.
use those.
Yeah.
But I mean, these are words that are not going to be accepted, and fine. Who cares? That's fine.
Yeah. Well, there's always a substitute that can be made.
I have a wholly different problem. My problem is words that I can't stand anymore. It's not their swear words or phrases. Now, you're a namer. I have a question for you. You notice how words change? Like back in my sister's days, he's so tough. That means he's cool. Or he's so boss. That means he's cool. Well, cool has lasted, but now it's other things. He's the bomb. So my question to you is there an announcement? Like, this is now the word being used when a CD is released. You say dropped. You don't say released. I mean, is there an announcement?
There's no announcement, but as a fabulous linguist who used to be the chair of linguistics at Stanford told me, a guy named Will Laban, he said, English is a living language and it's always changing. And so it's really kind of I don't want to call them tastemakers or influencers, but there are certain people in certain positions that when they use a new word, people start picking up on it, whether it's drop. I mean, I talk about the Soundcast, we drop on Tuesdays now. I wouldn't have used that 12 years ago or even 5 years ago, probably. So where did it come from? You could probably trace it back. And there were probably some obscure uses that never caught on of saying it. But then one person who was the right person maybe used it at a conference or something, and all of a sudden it became the big buzzword.
I think that's nifty.
I think it's swank.
I think it's the cat's pajamas.
I think it's the bee's knees.
Oh shit! I think
where did that come from? Who had bees?
I think. Well, and again, what's funny about that is no one uses it, but people remember that was a phrase. People don't remember tough was she's so tough. What I don't want, I want phrases removed. I am so sick of this phrase, Mark. I'm so sick of it in soundcasts, podcasts. I'm sick of it when people tell stories, and I'm sick of it in periodicals. I'm sick of the phrase, "Oh, this was before cell phones." Okay, we get it. Are you telling the story to a 12-year-old? Because I know what life was like before cell phones. You don't have to keep saying it. Oh, you had an answering machine. What the hell's that?
My favorite thing that was like that was I was watching some movie with my grandkids, who at the time were like 7 and 5 years old. We were watching It's a Wonderful Life. And they wanted to know what the world was like before there was color. And I said, "Oh, you mean color film?"
Yeah.
No, color. They actually thought the world was in black and white at one time.
Oh, show them Pleasantville. They'll freak out.
Exactly. Wizard of Oz. They do that shit.
Yeah. That's another thing I can't stand. If you're listening to a podcast about movies and they're talking about, say, I don't know, The Godfather. Spoiler alert, you don't have to say that. We've all seen it 25 times. These are things that are bugging me, Mark, as you can tell.
No, I could tell it. Where was I hearing spoiler alert the other day where it was just, you don't have to say it anymore. We've both been guests on this show, Monster Party, and they're constantly doing spoiler alerts. Like they have to warn somebody about a 45-year-old monster movie.
Well, they had a game on Monster Party once where it was say a line from a movie and guess the movie. And Larry thinks he was clever saying, "It was Beauty who killed the beast." I mean, it's like, Larry, please. We know that movie. It was King Kong. Come on. Spoiler alert's got to be dropped because it ruins I get it. Spoiler, but you're talking about an old film. Okay, moving on.
What else?
Moving on. Here's another one I can't stand.
Yes.
You got this. One time I was having trouble with some issue, and my friend goes, "You got this." I said, "No, I don't. That's why I'm asking for help. I don't have this. Help me." My sister still uses Happy Camper. I give her a pass. She's never going to stop. Yeah. Kick ass and take names. Oh, you want me to be physical and do the paperwork? Okay, fine. Let's drop these.
I like that. I've been trying to bring older phrases back in my everyday conversation. Like I call a lot of friends chum.
Oh.
And I've got younger friends that go, what do you mean chum? I go, well, it used to mean like friend or pal. I go, oh, what's a pal?
Yeah, it's like,
oh man.
Yeah, what's a pal? Oh, well, that's the funny thing about asshole and pal. They're reversed. You call your friends, "Hey, asshole, come on over. Come on, you're late." And you call a guy you don't like, "Hey, pal, what's your problem?"
Pal. Yeah, pal or pally. Hey, pally.
Yeah. That's very Dean Martin, but hey, pally.
What else drives?
I like this subject.
What else
drives me crazy with words? And
yes.
Things. It's not a word, and I know we're on a soundcast, but I'm going to do it. It's a visual, and this I can't stand this anymore, Mark. I cannot stand.
Oh, the heart
people
hands.
People take their hands and make a heart.
Heart hands, yeah. I call it heart hands.
Do that if you're 50 feet. You can't even. No one can hear you if you scream, but they can see that. That's good, but don't do it every. Okay, I'm just done with that.
I don't think
I'm getting riled up.
I don't think I've ever sincerely done heart hands to anybody, ever.
No. Never.
No.
Remember, I used to do a bit way back in the day. I used to do I used to do a bit on this topic, and then how does the right person, like you say a word and everybody picks up on it? I wanted to make flipping somebody off in traffic mean have a nice day, and it never caught on.
Never caught on.
Because it's like when Dana says, somebody cuts them off in traffic instead of honking, goes fantastic. What I do is I want to flip them off. Go, have a nice day.
I like to wave to them.
Caught on.
I wave to them like they're a friend.
You know where I wave, Mark? I'm glad you brought this up. I'm watching the Giants-Dodger game today, and it's whenever like the center field camera's on, and then somebody who's sitting behind home plate waves, I always wave back. And I feel like I'm connected to the game a little more. That's true. I do it every time. I'm by myself. I don't judge myself. I don't judge me.
Well, that's like when I see people on the kiss cam. I turn and kiss who's ever next to me, just out of
Yes.
and oftentimes I'm alone.
Just to do it. You don't know what camera, if they got a 2-camera shoot.
No, exactly.
Hey, what are you watching these days since we watch a lot of TV?
I just we were talking about Monster Party. I think I told you about this movie, but I saw it on Netflix called Blood Red Sky.
Okay.
It's the vampire movie, and but there's some nice twists to it. It's
modern.
It's modern. It's I don't want to give too much away, but it's the vampire is this mother. She's a mom, and she's flying with her like 9-year-old son or 10-year-old son.
Spoiler alert.
But that's just the very beginning of the thing, and things get crazy on the plane. They're flying at night, and there's hijackers on the plane, so the plane's not going where they want to be going, and they're trying to stay where it's dark.
That's a screenwriter saying, how can we trap a vampire?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. No one's ever used that.
But then it gets pretty wild. They have some fun. They have some fun with the tropes of vampires in it. It's
okay.
How about you? What are you watching?
My friend John writes down every movie he sees, gives him stars, and I started doing that. And it's fun to look back and go like, wow, I've seen 150 movies this year. I got the Criterion channel, and that's $10 a month. So I try to watch like 6 movies a month off that. And I'm revisiting some old classics and some I haven't seen. A movie I haven't seen in so long, you just maybe remember kind of what it was about, or kind of this or that. It was Desert Hearts, which was a love story between 2 women. And I couldn't believe how great it was. I mean, I remember it because everybody goes, it was a lesbian scene,
Who
but
is in it?
Great lines. Helen Shaver.
Okay.
Is one. And the other actress is French, and I didn't know her name, but the woman who played Mrs. Roper on Three's Company is in it. It's a dramatic role. She's really good.
Oh, wow.
There's a scene where the lesbian lover comes out of the house and sees her and says, "Oh, I haven't ran into you in years." And she says, "Yeah, I'm handling it." like getting through that. Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: you're writing down these star ratings. Do you ever adjust your ratings after either you think about it for a while, or you rewatch the movie? You go, I should have rated that higher, or what was I thinking back then? That doesn't deserve that many stars.
I just rate them for myself. If I forget the movie and go, did I like this? Oh, apparently not. That's all I rate it for. I got my book.
Yes.
I write down the movies in.
Okay.
And I've never seen like The Hitchhiker. Ida Lupino directed that. The bad guy was the same Hamilton Berger on Perry Mason. He has a lazy eye, which made him creepy.
Nice.
Bad Day at Black Rock. Mikey and Nikki, which I never saw, which I thought was a comedy. It's clearly not. I watched Inside Moves because some of it takes place in the Coliseum during a Warriors game back in the day.
Okay. All right.
And the funny thing about that is my friend John Goloski, I don't think you've ever met him, wrote a book about our mutual friend Steve being a wild, crazy friend. Oh. And the book dropped, and I read it in 2 days. It was so good. And it's called the Manzelli Tales of a Film Buff Gone Wild.
Okay.
He thinks he was in the movie Inside Moves because he was a vendor at the Coliseum. That's why I watched it. But I'm so proud of my friend. He wrote a great book. Pick it up on Amazon. It's like $10. But if you've all had a friend, if you've all had a wild friend, well, I had to, drive him home drunk, or I had to get him out of jail, or I had to do. That's the kind of friend he was. But you couldn't help be around him because he was so charming. It was like having Burt Reynolds as your friend And, you know, but they read there was going to be a brawl.
But was he in Inside Moves?
No, he wasn't. I didn't think the body type of the vendors I saw, but he was, and this is amazing. He was cut out of The Godfather 2.
Oh, really?
Because it was too, yeah. And then when Coppola re-released it as in chronological order, he was back in.
No kidding.
And it's the scene where Fredo's can't control his wife at the event in Tahoe.
Yeah.
Fredo, if you don't take care of this, I'm going to have to. So during that scene, the woman that plays his wife, throws a shoe at Fredo. And it knocks off Fredo onto the ground. My friend Steve picks it up and hands it back to Fredo. And that's in the movie. So cool to be in Godfather 2. But
nice,
the Manzelli tapes, the Manzelli Tales, yeah. Please pick it up. It's so good. What else am I binging, as you're asking, right? Oh, here's something funny.
There's binging and watching. So we're talking about movies, but are there series that you've been binging?
The ones I binged was The Americans. I love the fact that this was popular and then it's been off the air for 2 years, and I'm just now watching it. I watched that. and okay, that and Bosch on Amazon, which is in the 7th final season. And Bosch is a cop show about, you know, how meticulously cops have to find and capture a guy. Both those shows had the same line, and I'm so proud to say this. I want to try to find other shows. It's 2021, and the line is one cop to another, but they want to talk quietly. Okay, cone of silence. Okay, they say cone of silence.
It's against smart riff. Yeah,
it's either Buck Henry or Mel Brooks wrote that.
Yes.
And the fact that it's still used today, and I don't think people understand where it's from. They just think, stay quiet.
Yeah,
just between you and me.
It's a cone of silence.
Cone of silence. I'm just so proud of that. Just being a fan.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And I was listening to the pilot episode of Get Smart, and Buck Henry does the commentary, and he says, either I thought of the shoe phone and Mel thought of the cone of silence, or the reverse. We can't remember.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's that. I watch a lot of DVDs that have extras. Like I watched Defending Your Life, and I think I told you this story, but they thought there was a continuity mistake in Defending Your Life, because the joke is the waiter says to Albert Brooks, do you like pie? Yeah, I like pie. I'll bring you 9 pies. And Albert's like, no, that's too much. That's embarrassing. He brings the 9 pies, and they're bulky, and they gets a laugh. Next scene, he's walking with Meryl Streep in a hotel with the 2 boxes of pies, gets another laugh. He puts them down, has a scene with her. Next scene, he walks into his own hotel room, no pies.
No pies.
No problem. I'm thinking, he didn't want the pies, and you can't get a third laugh out of the pie.
Right.
So people thought it was a continuity mistake, and then there's an extra with Albert Brooks. They go, what about that? And Albert goes, look, you write a movie about the afterlife. You're asking deep questions. You take 3 years to shoot the movie. You have a screening in Pasadena, and all the comment cards say, what happened to the pies? I want to kill myself.
I gotta rewatch that movie. I love that movie.
Oh, I'm going to watch a movie tonight based on watching that movie, because they were talking about the afterlife, and I never saw Michael Powell's Stairway to Heaven, which was originally called Matter of Life and Death. And just the image of the still from that movie was like, oh, I got to see this. But every afterlife movie, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's Defending Your Life, if it's Heaven Can Wait, if it's
Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's, like, they always say that, okay, you're not going to remember this. The angel always says that. Like,
yes.
Like, that's a ripoff. What a buzzkill. I'm not going to have this power that I know what's beyond.
That's funny. I was just watching a movie just before our interview, and I still have the last 11 minutes I haven't seen. So no spoiler alerts, please. But,
what is the movie?
It's called Gunpowder Milkshake on Netflix.
Oh, no, I have not seen it. I saw Tomahawk Bone, but I haven't seen that.
I saw Tomahawk Bone. I love Tomahawk Bone. Kurt Russell's amazing in Tomahawk Bone.
He's never bad. He's never bad. I like Richard Gere and Nick Nolte, and maybe not so much Nick Nolte, but it's Kurt Russell, Richard Gere, and Jeff Bridges. It's like They never seem to make a bad movie, but they're never, like, Richard Gere is never going to win an Academy Award. But guess what? They mean nothing now if you know what's happening in film. No, you can't make a movie now without every ethnicity being
represented.
What's the word? Represented.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, good luck making Sleuth. My Dinner with Andre. Good luck.
I'd love to see them reboot My Dinner with Andre.
Now an evening with Mark Twain with. See, there's the joke right there, Mark.
Yes.
That's what we were talking about. That's what you can't do, even as an ad lib.
No, you can't.
And I think if you make fun of the cancel culture, if LGBT community can laugh at themselves, then we all win. But I just picked them out because that's what's going on right now. But
at some point, well, I don't want to predict it, but at some point, I think the tensions will ease when we realize that there's no reason for the hatred that currently stirs the pot.
Yeah, if we can make fun and get a laugh, and we know it's not going to result in violence, that's what our goal is.
Yeah, I mean, we can't even make fun of other white people now. We can't make fun of Republicans from the South, or pick whatever region you want, because they're so different and everyone's touchy about everything.
Maybe my decision not to work is a good one. I don't have to deal with this. Maybe just kind of lie back and do your paintings. It's a good idea. One good gallery show and we're in.
Do you miss, let me ask you this, because you've been in the Vegas area now for about a year and a half. Do you miss the San Francisco hang? Being able to just no, because like right now, I could go visit Dave Burley, Monique Marvez, Flip Schultz, Brian Scalaro. All my friends come into town to work. So it's kind of like 3 or 4 Throckmortons in Vegas because there's always people here. Yeah, that makes sense.
So the hang doesn't matter. I miss the water. I'm really I'm an Aquarius, and I miss seeing water and the ocean. I mean, there's all man-made stuff here, and of course, Lake Mead is almost like a pond now.
Right.
I mean, we're losing water right and left.
Yeah.
Bitch. I just needed a laugh there, Mark.
No, I got you. Made me laugh. I'll tell you that right now.
That's called a callback. It's a very strategic thing we do in comedy. We wait just the right amount of time to bring it back so they just forget it.
Now, you were working cruise ships for a while, and that industry completely disappeared.
Sorry, I got PTSD. Sorry.
So you did not enjoy that?
I quit cruise ships before the pandemic. I was sick of them already. And not so sick of performing in front of a sold out, 800 seat theater where you get a standing ovation and everybody talks to you after you were so great. It's the travel. And it's like the people who make travel arrangements have never traveled. It's nothing worse than going to the airport, having a 5-hour layover, and you're looking at the monitors. They say San Francisco leaves in 5 minutes. Like, why couldn't I get that flight?
Yeah.
No, I was really I was just not physically able to do it anymore. I mean, it's just the travel was relentlessly insane. I'm trying not to talk about it because the worst thing is I had to go to emergency the last cruise I had.
Oh, really?
And that's when I said, forget this. Oh my God, I was so beat up.
Wow.
I was taking a shower about an hour before my show, and my thumb got caught in the door jamb as I was trying to pull my bathroom door to me. I was holding onto the wall, and my thumb slipped in the groove, and I slammed it, and I screamed, and I had a show in 45 minutes, and I did the show. And of course, I have a heart on my sleeve. It's like I had to tell the audience, guess what I just did?
Yeah.
And the entire show, my throat was throbbing, and it took like 5 days. I couldn't sleep.
Oh.
That was that. Then I realized because I was naked, I was taking a shower. I also stubbed my toe. I got a crooked toe now. It still hurts. Then I come home, and I was on a plane for 7 hours, an hour layover, another plane for 6 hours, and my calves swelled up, which they say when you're on a plane, you gotta walk around.
Yeah.
But I was in the window seat, and I didn't want to keep bothering people next to me. And they swelled up. My first thought was, well, I got some definition. Look at that. I don't work my calves at the gym. And then I can't smoke pot for 4 weeks. I was on the cruise ships. And so when I got home, I realized, I have one pot pill left. Well, that's the pill I normally would cut in half, Mark. Yeah. I took the whole thing, and I had such an anxiety attack. I had to go to emergency. And by the time I got there, I was so high, and the nurse says, what are you in here for? I said, I just checked in to see what condition my condition was in. You know, I'm like, oh, he's high. Let's get him in the other room. And the doctor was smoking hot. And the nurse who registered me was Miss Morbid. I said, God, I can't believe I'm 61. And I had to put that on the form. She goes, yes, when you get older, everything starts falling apart. Oh I had a child. My child is 30. That makes you feel old.
Oh my God.
I'm like, I was trying to hold, I was going to laugh so hard because I was high. And the doctor came in and they gave me a pill to calm it down. And she says, because the swelling was in both legs, it's okay. But if it was in one, there would have been a problem. Oh. And it was already back to normal by the time I got there. And then when the doctor left and the nurse came back, and I said, that doctor was cute. What was her name? She goes, Dr. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to give her name. Johnson. And no, it was Dr. Johnson. I said, oh, she was nice. And the nurse goes, and young. So the same morbid nurse. I don't like working graveyard shift.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was, I told it on stage not long after that. So that cost me a couple $100 to go to emergency.
Yikes.
Yeah. Not as good as my meeting Burt Reynolds story, but hey, this is good enough.
Now,
hey, my favorite movie of the year is same as Dana's, which was last year before last. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. And I just read the book. Oh, Mark, I haven't shown you. Have you seen my where I keep my books? No. These are all movie novelizations.
It's like a magazine rack. It's like a classic comic book rack.
Right, but these are all the Conquest Party, and this one's great. Young Frankenstein.
Very nice.
I have Young Frankenstein because you can't see it here, but they had to reissue this and to reissue the poster because Mel Brooks put the golden arches right by the Frankenstein castle.
Oh, okay.
And McDonald's says you don't have the rights to use our golden arches. So they but there I can see it right there. It's right there on the book, right?
Oh yeah.
Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't.
There they are. I can make that out. Yes, absolutely.
There they are, right there.
Very, very cool.
And the other Mel Brooks movie, silent movie, is a flip book. It's kind of fun.
That's funny. I am listening to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on book on tape.
Oh, who does that?
It's why am I going to forget her name? Oh shoot. I can't remember. Why can't I remember her name? She's famous.
It's a woman who reads it.
Yes, which is very unusual.
Oh, it's such a male-dominant movie.
Because she does these great sort of embodiments of the male characters, which is very funny.
Oh, but she easily could say, "What's happening to Easy Peasy now?"
You know what? Let me look at my Audible here. It'll tell me who it is. I use the Audible app, I'm not afraid to say, because Succotash is on Audible.
Yeah.
Just to let you know. Let's look up.
Let me try to guess. I'm going to say Mira Sorvino.
No.
I don't know. I'm going to say
let's see.
Girl that was in Zodiac.
Let's see. Can I give you
Chloe Savini.
No. Okay. Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, she was in Hateful Eight.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, so I would actually almost listen to that because I really was reading the book too fast. I was enjoying it so much because it's the same story told completely differently.
Totally differently.
It's the ending of the movie is like on page 8 and it's in parentheses.
Yes.
Oh, I remember the time Cliff Booth killed people in my house. Basically that. And it's like,
even the stuff is sort of recast, like the meeting with the agent happens in the agent's office in the book, not
right. And the dialogue from that, the dialogue from that scene is actually dialogue at Casa Vega with Cliff Booth when they go get their drunk, the old-fashioned drunk, all that stuff about William Whitey, and I'm saying the name right. It's all in there, yeah. So he doesn't waste it, but he wrote it for 5 years thinking it was going to be a book. Then he wrote the screenplay. So you learn a lot about Cliff Booth in that book.
You do a lot.
Yeah.
Not all of it's savory.
Like Dana was knowing that was his favorite character. I said to him, Well, you used to be on Saturday Night Live. You were the cast member that did the most shows. Then you did some movies and commercials. Now you're doing a podcast with your family. Doesn't sound so bad.
I also like to learn things like his wardrobe is from Billy Jack.
Well, do you know that story? I know a lot about that. I know a lot about the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So that's because when Tarantino invited Brad Pitt over to his house to show him a movie, Brad Pitt showed up with Billy Jack and the DVD saying, I think I'm not going to play this guy, but the essence of this guy. And Tarantino laughs. He goes, let me show you something. He already had Billy Jack threaded up in his projection.
Oh, really?
room.
Oh, that's
so
hilarious.
they were on. So now you're saying he wears the clothes because that's fantastic.
That's fantastic. And you probably saw recently that Burt Reynolds was supposed to be the original guy with the ranch that Bruce Dern played.
Again, I have all the information. I have actually more information than most.
I'm sure you do.
Well, here's the thing.
But you know what? I don't know that all of our listeners knew it, so I wanted to bring it out.
Well, yes, Burt Reynolds was cast. Burt Reynolds flew to LA, rehearsed with Brad Pitt. They weren't going to do a scene for a while, so he flew back to Florida, and he died before he could shoot the scene. So Quentin is very proud of saying the last thing he ever acted was my movie in a read-through.
Yes.
And because we thought we were going to get Burt Reynolds at the Throckmorton to do a Q&A.
Oh, that's right.
And we just didn't have the date. Well, in the meantime, I put together a montage I put on YouTube of a tribute to Burt Reynolds movies to the tune of Dueling Banjos, because it's so much easier to cut to music than it is to words. And after he passed away, I got a Facebook, when I used to be on Facebook, I got a thing again, Gene Kennedy goes, hi, I'm the guy that does Bert's car shows with the Trans Am. We would like to use your montage to show at these events.
Really?
And I said, call me. And I gave my number. And he tells me the story that Burt Reynolds, and he was with him on the plane when they're flying back after he rehearsed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood playing George Spahn. He opened up his iPad and he goes, and that was on there.
No way.
And Gene Kennedy hands his iPad to Burt Reynolds, goes, have you seen this? And Burt Reynolds watches it and says, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
And a year after Burt died, I wrote a little thing. And I said, well, I heard from a mutual friend, that Burt saw my montage and liked it. And Gene Kennedy writes on that thread, fact. But he also told me,
is that still up on YouTube?
Oh, of course.
Okay, good. Because we'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Okay. And then he tells me something that nobody knows. Well, he said he was rehearsing, he was working on his lines for that movie and went to the bathroom. And Burt came out of the bathroom and said, I don't feel right, and laid down and died.
That was it?
Yeah. So I don't feel right. And then laid down. And but he was very, very, very excited to do the movie. And I don't know if that line was in there from the get-go, probably was, but knowing it was going to be Burt's line, when Bruce Dern starts to sit up in bed and Cliff Booth tries to help him, he goes, not everybody needs a stunt man. And I'm like, oh, that would have been so
that sounds
nice
like it probably would have been. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's my connection to Burt Reynolds started, of course, when you're a teenager and he's the #1 film star. The last thing I ever said to Burt Reynolds when I got to meet him, I said, thanks for teaching me how to drive.
Nice.
And I got to meet in a very cool way. His last movie, called The Last Movie Star, there was an after party and I snuck into at a bar, and I waited an hour and a half and sat next to him and had a nice 5-minute chat with him. And I showed him pictures of me and Dom DeLuise, and he was so sweet. And then some guy comes over and says, Burt, we're going to play My Funny Valentine. I heard you're a big Chet Baker fan. He goes, oh, great. And I said, did you see that movie about Chet Baker, that Ethan Hawke played Chet Baker? He goes, yeah, but they always concentrate on the drugs. I said, well, it's a hard story not to tell. And I realized I'm just talking movies with Burt Reynolds, not even his movies. I was like, wow. And he knows, a lot of film actors know a lot about film history,
Why is that?
Because they're fans to begin with, I think. Like Alec Baldwin knows a lot of stuff. When I interviewed him, I remember interviewing him. I go, let's do Dueling De Niro's. He goes, you start. And I said, Serrano's got the discs. Serrano's got the discs. And Alec Baldwin says, we're doing Dueling De Niro's and you choose Midnight Run? So anyway, this, I was at the memorial for Carl LeBeau, and what you came away from that evening was, yeah, Carl's right. We were so grateful we get to do this for a living, and all the fun and all the connections you have, like me meeting Burt Reynolds, me or working with somebody. It's just, there's so much pluses, but it's a lot of hard work. And damn, I don't know if you know who Carl LeBeau was, but he was a fantastic comedian.
I don't know all of our listeners knew about Carl, but
well, Carl was an outlaw of comedy. He's the one where Sam Kinison died in his arms, and he tells that story in documentaries. You can see it online. And but I learned a lot about Carl for the memorial. But it's a comedian's memorial.
Yes.
So Brad Garrett would say, your MC tonight knew Carl for 39 years, so you could just imagine the money Carl owed him. Would you welcome? Stuff like that. And we heard stories like when Carl was dying, like Brian Regan would text him, like, how's it going? And Carl would text back, I don't appreciate your humor. Carl died last night, things like that. And then Carl would sit on him for an hour. and to say, like, well, to be honest, I haven't had an erection in 6 months. Then I saw your Netflix special and I haven't had an erection since. And Brian Regan writes, I'll put that warning on the next special then. I had something planned, because you never know these memorials, like, would you like to speak?
Right.
You got to be prepared. And I just wrote a joke. I go, I'm going to use this for another memorial. My name is Marc Pitta. I live in Las Vegas, as Carl did, and his death is doubly painful to me because he was my emergency contact. Now, that's just a comedian writing a joke. I mean, Carl would like all these.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the funniest story and the most poignant story of how positive Carl was, and again, come away with this with a positive attitude, because you need somebody who's your peer to remind you that, yes, this is a cool life we've had so far. So he got his first acting job, and he's driving with his father to Hollywood, but he's cutting through Palm Springs, and he knows where Jerry Lewis lives for some reason. So he gets out of the car, his dad's in the car, he knocks on Jerry's door, housekeeper answers. Is Jerry home? No, he's out of town. Well, my name's Carl. I just want to say I'm doing my first acting job, and I'm a comedian, and I just want to say I love your dad and all his movies, and that's probably why I'm doing this. Okay. He walks down the driveway, and he sees a kid playing handball against the wall. Looks like Jerry Lewis's kid. He had 7, right? Could I help you? Yeah, my name's Carl. I just want to say hi to your dad because I'm going to my Hollywood and doing my first acting gig, and I just want to tell him I love him. Jerry Lewis's son goes, okay, now fuck off. He gets back in the car, and here's where the positivity comes in. His dad goes, how'd it go? Well, I talked to the housekeeper, told him we loved Jerry, talked to his son, told him we loved Jerry, and his son told me to fuck off. And his dad says, well, let's fuck off then. How great is that? Like, I just turn it, let's fuck off, let's go. That's great. That was instilled in him. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
I saw, but the weird thing about Carl, I'm sorry, I'm dominating this topic, but one more thing.
You're the guest.
Well, I saw Carl and Sam at Burbank Airport 2 weeks before the fatal car accident, and I hadn't seen Carl since. I saw him a couple years ago at Laugh Factory. He was doing the midnight show. He greeted me like I had saved his life as a child or something. I was his best friend. I'm like, that's when you realize how your peers feel about you. It's like, oh my God, we never worked together, but he knows me and he loves my act. He just came to tell me, because we're in the same fraternity, quote, this thing of ours. And he just gave me a biggest hug. So you don't know how comedians are going to relate to you, even if you don't work together. Like, I don't know why Brad Garrett charged me to be at the memorial. Why did I get the cover? Okay, that's another joke I couldn't do. But the thing about Carl not seeing me and giving me a hug was just.
Well, the comedy community is, and I've talked to a couple of comics that just go, well, isn't every business like that? You're in an industry, and I said, I don't think so, because our industry, we're not working in an office. Everyone's sort of moving around and mobile, and you never see anybody for years at a time, and you still have these great connections. Do you remember Daily Pike?
I remember the name.
Yeah, so Daley Pike was a comic, and he's now a very successful photographer. But he was a comedian. He was playing the Comedy Underground in Seattle that I used to run. And I sold him my TRS-80 computer from Radio Shack when he was up there, because I had just gotten a new Macintosh. They'd just come out. And he really wanted a computer. So I said, you can buy this for $100. So he bought it. And that was the last time I set eyes on Daley Pike. And then I saw some of his photos on Instagram, and I saw his name. And so I messaged him. And I said, hey, I don't know if you remember me. We met in Seattle. He goes, the TRS-80.
I thought you were going to be talking about a car for a minute.
Yeah,
I drove the TRS-80.
No, just like the crappiest computer ever. But, that memory that comics have is phenomenal, too, a lot of times.
Yeah, it's usually trivial and stuff. Like, I love it when I have someone come up to me, tell me a memory of theirs, of me, that is so vivid. And I'm like, wow, I don't remember that at all. Like I was saying in John's book, The Manzelli Tales, we're in Tijuana. I mean, when you're trying to get back to the United States, there's that just traffic jam at the border. And Steve had to go to the bathroom. So he gets out of the car and pees on the side of the road. Like, all these cars there. Next thing you know, the cop is at our window banging on it. Taking you to jail. Can't whip out your penis in public. And Steve was already in trouble because the people that try to sell you stuff, the trinkets in the car, are like, give me how much for Jesus on a stick? They didn't like that. And then he goes to pee. The cop comes over, and John writes that, can't we just pay a fine now? And I remember we all had to reach in our pockets and come up with a couple $100. And John did not remember that I went on that trip.
Really?
So I do vividly after hearing it.
Oh,
John and
funny.
Steve came to the, I remember this, John and Steve came to the Holy City Zoo to see me perform early on, like in 81. And they gave me a standing ovation, which induced the crowd to stand for me. And I think I got more work there because of that. They were just doing it because they knew. So anyway.
Yeah, it's just funny. I mean, I've had comics come up to me and remind me of stuff that happened that I had no recollection at all, but so
Right.
very vivid for them for whatever reason, kind of stuck in their head.
Yeah, the worst one is when they come up to you and go, this is your son. You don't want that from a waitress that you forgot about.
And yet we all have friends in the business that has happened to. Isn't that funny?
I've had a couple close calls. Yeah, well, everything was new. Comedy was new. Meeting girls was new. Going out was new. Having sex was new. You just tried to do as much as you could.
Yeah, and there wasn't a shortage of it.
Oh, when the first girl ever came up to me after a show and says, I know what you're going through. I'm like, what? She was about your breakup. And I realized I was just doing girlfriend breakup jokes. I have, they were ancient, but they come up to you and I learned, like, would you like a drink? I learned how to talk.
Right.
I was not confident. I didn't go out in high school. I had one girlfriend in in high school, and I was a junior, and she had a green van. Everybody thought we had sex in the van. All I got was a hickey.
Well, in high school, sometimes that was sex. That was it.
Oh, that was true. It was like I was all of a sudden in a Richard Linklater movie. Look, I got a hickey. That guy just has a handle on the friggin' 70s, 80s, man. That guy. I watched Slacker, Dazed and Confused, and then a movie no one talks about called Everybody Wants Some.
Oh.
And that's a title of a Led Zeppelin song that he also Dazed and Confused is a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah.
But it's another movie like Dazed where no one knows these actors. And only one became kind of a working actor, but it was just no plot and college life. Like, it takes place 4 days before the first day of college. It's just a fun little movie. Well, I recommend that one.
One of the things I really like about Netflix is you get to see all these series that are made overseas, like in Hungary and stuff like that. And there's something about suspension of disbelief when you're watching actors that you don't recognize and you don't know. It feels very much like you're watching real people.
Yes.
Do these things, And
how many times, Mark, I hate to interrupt, but how many times have you watched the movie in the theater and then a comedian is in it? You're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, it takes you out of it completely.
He's not an FBI agent. God damn it. I'm out of this movie now. I don't believe a single word of it.
Although I do like watching movies that have a lot of comedians that I know in it, like The Informant,
Rat Race. We got $1 Million Mystery.
No, not a comedy though. Do you remember The Informant with?
Oh yes, Rick Overton.
Rick Overton and the Smothers Brothers, and all these comics are in it. but none of them are there to be funny, but they wanted it to have that edge to it.
Yeah.
That only kind of comics can bring to a dramatic role.
Right. You know, it's funny. I was at the Improv once. I'm standing there talking to somebody, and he bumps my drink, and my drink falls onto a shoe of this person standing next to me, and it's Dick Smothers. And he looks at his shoe, he looks at me, goes, "Oh, I thought I was working with a partner again." And I was just like, the only time I talk to Dick Smothers, he gives me a jewel.
That's
like,
hilarious.
"Oh, thank you for that line. Now I have it." It reminds me of the Burt Reynolds Sinatra story, where Bert's having dinner at this restaurant. He goes, "Mr. Sinatra is playing poker in the kitchen with a bunch of friends. He'd like you to join them if you'd like to after a meal." And so Bert goes there. The busboy drops like 30 glasses and they all break. And the owner fires him on the spot. And Sinatra goes, "Hey, come here." He just rolls up cash, $100 bills. "Here, I'm going to pay for those. If I come back in 2 months or 2 years, this guy still better be working here." And the owner goes, "Okay, thank you." And Burt Reynolds gathers up his chips and starts to leave. "Where are you going?" And Burt goes, "I got my Sinatra story." That's basically all you want. It's like Kevin Pollak was playing poker with Don Adams and Eric Roberts and a few others. And Eric Roberts gets up to go to the bathroom, and Don Adams, who says nothing the whole game, goes, "Better looking than his sister." And that's all you want, is one line from one event. And that's the other thing about stories. Sometimes your line is the memorable line.
Yes.
Like I was at the Aria because Tony La Russa, when he was involved with the Animal Rescue Foundation, which he no longer is, I think there was a blow up. He's a thing called Pets for Vets, and it takes place at the Aria. But it's like, the edicts came down, masks again, 6 feet apart. If you're on stage, you can't. It was so awkward to do your first show in a year, and I didn't do that well. But the previous night, there was a dinner, and Albert Pujols was at the dinner. Now here, I know you don't know sports, but he's a future Hall of Famer. And Tony toasts him and says, "Not only is he a great player, he's a great human being." Albert Pujols. Everybody takes a drink. And I'm standing next to Albert Pujols, and I say, "Well, I don't know you, but I'll take his word for it." And at that moment, I'm like, did I just fucking piss off Albert Pujols? And the next day I see him, the first thing out of my mouth was like, "Are we good?" He goes, "We're good." I'm like, God, why do I have to say anything?
That's so funny.
Because when you're a comedian and they know, it's like, you want to say something funny, so they go, "Yeah, he was good." I did suck that night.
Oh, see, that's always not helpful.
They didn't understand. They didn't understand.
No.
But.
So, Mark, this has been delightful. It's always delightful to talk to you.
It's been a hoot and a holler.
And you know what? I think I should have you on again soon, just to have conversation.
Well, let's recap. YouTube, watch Carl LeBeau's story about Sam dying in his arms. Watch the Burt Reynolds music video I made. That's Marc Pitta on YouTube. I make all these music videos just because I'm a fan.
Yes.
Jennifer Jason Leigh is reading Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And the Manzelli Tales is my friend's $10 book, which I think you'll enjoy. One story I didn't have was Woody Allen was playing the Circle Star Theater, and Steve wanted to get an autograph after the show, and there's a huge place. He's in the corridors. Where's Woody Allen's dressing room? It's over there. He's running, and he finally sees Woody at the other end. He runs over to him. It's like, "Mr. Allen, can I have your autograph? I'm a big fan. I came all the way from Oakland." And Woody goes, "On foot?" There's another guy we can't talk about. Dealing with that shit.
Cancel culture.
Yeah, but that's not quite camp. That's like, whose camp are you in? What do you believe? That's a whole other situation.
Mark, can people follow you on social media? I know you're not on
No,
Facebook.
I got off social media. I got off that for mental reasons. They talk about the Olympics having she has mental problems, Simone. And I'm like, yeah, well, the thing with me is I got tired of the politics. I got tired of like, don't get vaccinated, get vaccinated. And then I realized it's all ads. Yes. Like if you're reading Facebook, it's like, oh, there's another ad. Then a comedian tells you where he's working. It's like, well, that's another ad. It's like I'm not catching up with my friends. I'm just pissed off they're all working and happy, or their dog died, or something. It's just and guess what? I'm off it. I'm up in my 12th painting already.
Good for you.
And I'll put some on. All my paintings are on Instagram if you're curious, and that's at Marc Pitta on Instagram.
At Marc Pitta. Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
And the only thing I want to say to end that, because you just said something that reminded me, is one time I found an old photo. Remember that campaign of Agent Cooper? You know, where is Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks?
From Twin Peaks.
And there was have you seen this man? It was Agent Cooper. I put that, people putting it all over the world. So I put it on a post right up there at the Golden Gate Bridge, you know, the Marin side.
Yeah.
And Kyle MacLachlan liked it on my Instagram. That's my big claim to fame with Kyle MacLachlan.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. You're still in the fight, man. You're still in it.
It was the first celebrity to like something of mine.
All right, Mark Pitta.
Well, this has been fun. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and maybe we'll see you soon. That would be great to have you back on.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
All right. Bye. Not really, because we'll still talk, but bye.
I really don't want to talk.
Thanks again to Marc Pitta for jumping into the Succotash with me. You can find his paintings on Instagram at Marc Pitta, and you can find his videos on YouTube by searching for his name, MarkPitta. As promised, it's time for our new expanded feature, the Succotash and Runaway Truck Ramp Hotline, where we feature calls that have come into the show, either about the show, Comedy Soundcast, or status reports on the hundreds of various runaway truck ramps found wherever there's a steep enough grade on U.S. highways. I see we have a call. Let's check it out.
Mark, it's Phil Lernis calling. Just wanted to let you know that the runaway truck ramps at mile 36 on the Massachusetts Turnpike, i.e. Interstate 90, are open and available and look in perfect condition. That is all.
Hey, Phil Lernis, co-host of Chill Pack Hollywood, calling in with a runaway truck ramp update. Thanks, Phil. Finally, before we get out of here, we have got to get to the tweet sack. Yeah, hi, Tweety. I know we missed you last time, but we're going to go through all the folks who have been kind enough to mention us in their socials these past few weeks. Here we go. Minecraft for Life, the Jock Doc Podcast. Laura Saner. Yeah, that's right, the wife of our very own Tyson Saner. Blood and Black Rum Podcast. Zombie Bacterium. Greg Proops. I Shake My Head with Lisa and Sam. Al Romas. 929. Tales of Dice Jail. Pretending with Dice, featured just last week on this show. Monkey Magazine, The Talkin' Dicks. Mike Mitchell, also featured just last week. ZP International, Monster Party Podcast, Salty Language Pod, Let's Chat Podcast, and The D-Head Factor. Hello there, Jabs. That's it for the tweet sack. If you want in, just put @Succotash Show in your socials, and if we see it, we'll mention you. If you put #TweetSack in there, that'll make Tweety happy, and you'll get a special tweet out just like that.
Hey, this is Justin Bieber.
This is Gwen Stefani. Hi, this is Madonna. What's up, you guys? It's Nicki Minaj.
Is it too late now to say sorry? Baby, don't lie. I don't wanna cry no longer.
We don't have any of those artists on this show. Sorry, not sure where that came from. Anyway, that's it for this extra super duper sized episode of Succotash. Tyson Saner will be here with you next week for Epi264, so join us again then, won't you? We may actually be a day late dropping that show, as I will be out of town for a few days, and I guess dropping them is my job, damn it. In the meantime, time to mask up again to do battle with the Delta variant, so don't be a creep. If you haven't vaxxed up yet, what the hell? I don't want to plague shame anyone, but it is directly your fault this whole thing is dragging out. Does that make you feel important? Whoa, calm down, Mark. Okay, you're right. Let me just say that if anyone asks if you heard anything good lately, won't you please just pass them the Succotash?
You You've been listening to Succotash, the Comedy Soundcast Soundcast, with your host, Marc Hershon. Brought to you by Henderson's Pants and...
Imagine your company's name right here.
Rate us and review us at Apple and Google Podcasts. Find us on the web at succotashshow.com, on Spotify, on Stitcher, on iHeart Radio, on YouTube,
On SoundCloud.
and wherever fine soundcasts are streamed and or downloaded. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Succotash Show. Like us on Facebook. Email us at marc@succotashshow.com. Or call into the Succotash Skype line at our toll call number 818-921-7212.
Number again is 818-921-7212.
You can also upload clips from your favorite comedy soundcasts directly to us using our direct upload link at hightail.com/u/succotash. Succotash is produced and engineered by Joe Paulino through the auspices of Studio P Sausalito, the home of the hit. Our hosts are Marc Hershon and Tyson Saner. Our musical director is
Scott Carvey.
Our booth assistant is
Kenny Durges.
Succotash is executive produced by Marc Hershon. Until next time, I'm your loyal booth announcer, Bill Haywatt, reminding you to please pass the Succotash. Goodbye. This has been a Succotash Patch production.